Just looking to get going now. You. There we go.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I couldn't see you before, so all good now. We'll just let people start getting in. But again, what I'll do, mate, is I'll just talk through I'll give it a minute or so,
Okay.
and then I'll just talk through why I'm doing this and the reasons behind it, and then we'll go into what I class as the main points for the evening, which I think certainly for me, I think your story is a fantastic story from where you started and to where you're at, continually going now as well. So I think it'll be great for people to listen in. So I'll just give it a couple more minutes. Get yourself a brew if you need one, or drink some water. But hopefully you're all good, mate, as well.
Yeah, as well as can be in the circumstances.
Yeah.
Challenging times for everybody.
Yeah.
But, it's there's people working harder than me, and the NHS and all those key workers and things like that. They're the real heroes in this circumstance. So it's I'm just kind of doing what we can by abiding by the rules, really, and staying away from people and going out on, when's needed, really. But But it's challenging times for everybody, mate.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But right, well, what I'll do is obviously I'll just explain to everyone why I'm looking to do these series. So, to get someone like yourself on for me is great, because you're somebody that's come through the ranks at Leeds United, and certainly for the academy kids at Forza Academy and all round the world as well, not just in the UK. I think it's really important to understand. Right, well, we all look at your Paul Pogba's or your Messi's and your Ronaldo's, and people look at them types of players and they say, well, yeah, but they've got talent, but there's a whole lot more to football than just having talent. And that's certainly an insight from you working in the department you're working at Leeds United now. I think you can give a great insight to. So also adding to that, we've brought, we've got Adam Collin, the current goalkeeper at Carlisle United, Andy Madley, who's also coming on, who's a Premier League referee. And then we've got Ian Hume coming on next Monday as well. Next Wednesday. So overall, it's to give these young players, parents, and also coaches an insight into the professional game. Because, you can harp on about it all you want, but to be a professional, your mindset has to be right. And I think that's something that I'd like to talk and discuss with tonight. So it just gives some people as well the opportunity to listen, take notes, hopefully, and go away and work on stuff. So basically, Jacko, I a little bit of an insight into people regarding your career. If we can just take it from when your playing career and how you started and got to be a professional.
Yeah, a long time ago now. But when you're talking about that, I didn't actually start playing football till I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
Didn't actually kick a ball. I wasn't interested. I did a lot of other sports, swimming, karate, judo and stuff like that. But I never kind of played football till I started playing kind of on the street, and I went up to a team called Beeston Juniors, not far from Ellen Road. Where
so you're a Leeds lad then as well.
Just down the road in Beeston. I grew up, and my dad took me up to Beeston Juniors, and I started playing from there, really, and that kind of went quickly after that, and progressed through Leeds City Boys, under 11s up to under 15s, where straight away then at under 11s I went to the Leeds Centre of Excellence. It was back then. For the academies and what have you. So that was up at Fernville. With some great coaches who I remember back then. To talk about, coaches who you remember. Certainly when I first started, Colin Morris and John O'Byrne were big coaches, and other people might know them names from the coach circles. But that was up at Fernville, and started at the Leeds Centre of Excellence and kind of just progressed there. And
so that Leeds Centre of Excellence stuff there. I mean, I came through a similar one over in Manchester. You'll have seen recently in the press as well that Bayern Munich are cutting their academy to start at the age of, I think it's 11 years old. You might not be able to answer it because of the position you're in at Leeds, but what's your thoughts on that?
What about starting academies later?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think it's all about the content, really, and not being, certainly at a young age, and this is kind of just my opinion on it, is a young age and not being that structured. And, you know, you've got to develop a love for the game. And certainly, you know, that's what I had as a youngster. Yeah. That's what I've still got now as a coach. And you've got to kind of foster that. And I think, you know, you've got to, in the right environments, if you create the right environment, you know, there's got to be a little bit of structure, of course, but, you know, with your practice design and things like that, and you can kind of create that kind of street football, because that's what I did. I grew up playing on and kind of, because at the start so early, that goes away from it. So I think there's a lot to be said about that kind of practice design and giving the players that kind of freedom to fall in love with a game, but obviously then stay in love with the game, because to stay in the game as long as you have, and you played, and I've played, and other players have played, you've got to have a deep-rooted love for the game as well. As soon as you lose that, your kind of motivation goes.
So if we kind of throw that out to the people out there in terms of what their thoughts are on academies starting early, should kids go into them early? If you want to ask any questions now, if you're just joining us as we go along, feel free to ask questions. But certainly what you've said there, and I take that on board. You know, you started late yourself, and I didn't get into any academy till the age of 16. But it's interesting there that what you're saying is the street environment helped you create that love for the game. Mm-hmm. And you know, there's a great quote from Johan Cruyff regarding, is it the 10,000 structured hours where kids learn, or is it the hours on their own? So, you know, there's plenty of stuff there that I think that people can discuss certainly tonight. But, you know, carry on your career path. You know, you were at Beeston, you got picked up, and
and kind of went into Leeds City Boys then, which was kind of the in thing to do, and that was kind of a big accolade to have as a young player. To play for Leeds City Boys, I always remember those times fondly. And like I said, then got picked to go to the Leeds Centre of Excellence, and it kind of snowballed really, really quickly. You know, you look at it back then now, and you look at me.
Here now.
I look back on it, my education as a coach, and knowing what I know now. You know, I was certainly an early developer. You know, September birthday. And there's a lot of talk about that these days, and you know, the birth bias and things like that. So did that probably help me? Yes, you know, that helped me because I started late as well, and I was a little bit behind probably technically than other players. So that probably helped me a little bit and brought me to the forefront when, you know, when getting selected for the next age group and staying on and what so. But I kind of went quickly, and then obviously went up to under 16s, and then. That was a big time then when you got the old YTS. It wasn't back then, and moved on to the YTS at Leeds United, which I was kind of delighted with. But listen, along the way, and it's, you know, you'll have parents on this tonight listening. Along the way, it wasn't. I say it was a kind of snowball effect, but there were bumps along the way as well.
So.
I can remember one major bump for me and one major knockback for me was I had my sights set on going to Lillishall. You ever remember Lillishall? The school, and I went for the trials for that every year, and I got knocked back from that, and I always remember that, and it really, really, it knocked me sideways. Did that even at a young age, and you know, I had to pick myself back up from that. So there is a lot of bumps in the road along the way.
So on that there as well, Jacko, because that's a couple of points that I'd, you know, wanted to make regarding highlights and setbacks. And I think certainly kids nowadays, they have to accept, and this is a big thing for me, whether I'm coaching kids or adults, and it's hard sometimes to get it over to younger kids, but you have to accept failure sometimes to get better. And I think what you've probably experienced there is, you know, well, I wanted that, but in the long term, you're now looking back on it probably and thinking, has it made you stronger as a player? Has it made your mentality? How do you build your mentality? So if you want to talk about that side of it, the setback side of it, certainly at a young age, I think that would be fantastic for people to listen to.
I think I can remember one thing. You're talking about mentality there, and talking about how that kind of mentality and mental toughness can be built. You know, I've got no shame in talking about it. Once back when I was younger, when I used to play for the kind of Sunday teams, and you used to go to, you ever remember in the summer, you used to have five-a-side competitions, and it used to be galas and things like that.
Yeah.
I can remember missing a penalty in that. And I was only young. I'd only started out, probably under 10s or something like that. One of my first ones, what I ever went to. But it's in my mind massively now, and I missed a penalty. And I ran off.
Yeah.
You look back on it now and you're going, you know, how a moment like missing a penalty could actually in a gala mean the end of the world for a young player. So it's how that support is transmitted around you and things like that. And you know, I had very supportive parents and what have you, and you know, but even at a young age, like you might look back and say, oh, you've only missed a penalty and stuff like that. But that could be the end of the world to a young player.
Of course,
that kind of stuck in my mind massively, along with kind of knockback from Lily Shaw and things like that. But what was also kind of really apparent for me was the pressure you're under as well. So you're constantly under pressure, and whether that is to get into the next age group, whether it be Leeds City boys or whether you know, whether you're progressing at Leeds as a schoolboy into the next age group and stuff like that. So there's always pressure, and people talk about pressure these days and things like that, but that's always been there for me.
But at a different age. So me personally, I think the top players, and I don't mean, you know, your Ronaldo's, your Messi's, although they are included in this, but I think if you want to make it as a pro, you have to accept a certain type of pressure. And I think from a young age, like you've just said, what I've took from that is that support mechanism, which is where parents come in. And I know there'll be a lot of parents listening tonight, is that this is where they come in terms of, you know, those parents that are shouting and screaming at kids. You know, it's not that time. It's let your kid develop and just be that safety net for them if they need you.
I think as well, I think you talk about young kids, and you know, give me a young kid who doesn't want to win. They all want to win, so that's they're actually putting pressure on themselves. So they probably don't need the added pressure from the outside, like you're saying there. And you know, parents and supporters and coaches working with young players have got to be so careful when they're working with players at a young age that they don't. You know, the players will put pressure on themselves. Individually, even at a young age, you might not think it, but I can remember doing it now. I put pressure on myself to be scoring a penalty at 10 years old. It was only a 5 but that at that particular time could be like the World Cup final to a young player.
Exactly,
So that pressure is there from the kid and the peers anyway. So it's like you said, it's about that support mechanism around them, and being really, really supportive and helping them come through those mistakes, because they're going to happen inevitably. They're going to happen their mistakes, and then bumps are going to be there. But as long as they've got the support mechanism around them to help them, you know, and talk through it, you know, talk through it with the kids. I have my little boy's 3 at the minute, and you know, he's forever saying, I can't do it. Can't do it. Well, I can't do that. I said, well, listen, give it a go. It's okay. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong. All right, that's okay. But listen, have a go. And I think if
a lot of love for what you're saying there. There's a couple of people showing some love with their hearts and that. So obviously, you know, it rings true for a lot of people. That I'll bring something back though, Jacko, just to what we were speaking about before regarding the Man City thing, because there was a great question here from Andy Shoots, but also leads us into the next question. Do you think Munich would be at a disadvantage if City are taking him at the age of under 5s, but also you know, there's a Iceman who 280 who said, do you feel academies support young players that need a more competitive environment than grassroots can offer to further their development? So there are 2 different questions there, I feel, but because, you know, there are a lot of kids going in at a young age, but there's also the element of, certainly for me, I came through a grassroots system. I have my own opinion on the grassroots game at the minute. I don't think it's what it used to be, but you've got this academy system now that's kind of taken over that. What are your thoughts on, say not just say Man City, they all do it, but taking them from such a young age, and also that competitive environment? Where does that fit in? How do you think that should fit in?
Well, I think players travelling distance after distance to go to a certain club is I don't agree with that. Me personally, and things like that, and spending how long in a car to travel somewhere to go get what's supposed to be the best training. Listen, there's a lot of clubs around where these players probably live locally. There's a lot of fantastic coaches at grassroots level who can help foster that ability within children. And I think you've just got to be so careful. Taking kids and taking them at such a young age. 2 hours.
Very young.
Hours in a car, or even an hour in a car to go to trainings. Where back in the day we used to just go out and play on the street. And things.
But has that gone though? Parents out there, do you feel your kids can go out and play on the street?
Well, that's a society thing these days as well, because of the introduction of the computer games and stuff like that. So actually, we're in a different era now, and we're in a different time where kids maybe don't go out and play because they've got this and that. They've got other forms of entertainment, so to speak. So that whereas so on the flip side of that, an academy can kind of manufacture that as long as it's done in the right way. If you design and your practices are right and the environment's right, like I went on to before, if the environment's right and it's got that fun element and it's got that kind of a holistic approach to coach, rather than being kind of straight down the line and too disciplined, as long as you have that, I've seen lots of examples of clubs, and our club's the same, where they give the kids a variety of skills, and things like that, not just football. But because, listen, when you were younger, when you used to play out and you used to be playing out all the time, you developed so many kind of transferable skills. I don't know. Climbing trees, jumping over walls, doing things what you're not meant to do, and things like that. They're kind of transferable physical skills, motor skills, what can help in football. So, there's pros and cons to the argument, and the argument could go on all day. There'll be people saying no, they're against it. There'll be people saying no, they're for it. I'm not saying I sit on the fence, but I see the pros and cons in all things. And if done right,
got to be a balance.
It can be really, really effective. If not done right, it can be a detriment to the kid, not only physically but psychologically as well. So it's if it's done right, it can be beneficial. If it's not, then it could be, like I said, it could be a detriment to young children.
So just to, on that side of it, certainly the younger age, I think we're just getting through a couple of questions there. And we will come into that a little bit more, but I'd like to move on a little bit quicker to you're 16, 17 years of age. You've just signed your first contract at Leeds. Now there's a lot of kids, parents, coaches that would love to be in that position. Is it wake up call time? Is it, I've made it, I'm relaxing? Explain to people how you have to be, your thoughts on that side of it when you get to that stage.
Well, back then when I went into Leeds in the old YTS scheme, which it was back then.
Clean your boots.
Cleaning boots and doing your
dressing rooms.
The players these days are very, very privileged, but kind of going back to my time, it was a case of get on 2 buses on the morning, get to work. Really, it felt like work. It did feel like work back then. It was tough. You were coming in as a first year, and the second years above you were demanding. So there was pressure on that as well. Which
a lot of that's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone, and like I said, we're in a different world. But with that kind of that come the pressure for me as a player to go in and perform. I've got to say that looking back now, I can always remember, and I look back and I spoke to some of my old teammates back in the day and talk about I couldn't even do a dip in the gym and stuff like that. So although it was kind of September birthday, I wasn't physically developed. I mean, if you can remember the picture of me on my debut when I was on the bench, and there's a picture of me, and I look stick thin. I look scrawny.
Couldn't have been as bad as me. I were 8.5 stone.
Yeah, but you were stuck out on the wing, mate. I had to be a centre half. But no, yeah, it was tough. It was demanding. You know, the coaches were demanding in Paul Hart. I'd even go as far as saying that
one of the top coaches in the game, without a doubt. Very good reputation.
So yeah, it was challenging. But one thing kind of going on to it, one thing what kind of resonated with me and still does, and I speak to Andy Gray a lot about it now. Good friend of mine who I worked with at Leeds before he moved on. I came through with. It was his uncle Eddie. So Eddie took the team with Paul Hart, and I can remember what I was saying, and I can't remember his true words, but he basically said that if you've not been in and around the first team by the time you're 18, you're struggling. Not exactly those words, but it just resonated in my mind, and it kind of just set my timer going. I talk to Andy all the time, Andy Gray, and he says the same. It kind of just flicks it on in your mind, going, I need to sort myself. I'm 16. I'm nearly 17 now. I need to be in and around the first team by the time I'm 18, or I'm going to struggle. So that was kind of my personal timer on things.
So again, a big thing that I like to talk about with the kids is mindset. Your mindset there is right. Bang, switch. There's nothing more I need in 16 years of age. You've gone in for your first pre-season. I need to be in and around the first team at 18. How do you do that? You've got
to be focused. And like I say, even with young players, you can probably start to develop that. And I think, having realistic targets with young players. How early do you start that? Again, that's up for a massive debate in what you do. But you tell me a player who don't want to get better at something. So I've seen a lot of the work you're doing with the ball skills and things like that. So straight away you see the young players, and I've seen the videos, and the players are focused there to achieve something. The talking, still got enjoyment of it and stuff like that. And the fact that they want to do it, they're not being forced to do anything. They want to do it, and they want to push themselves, and they want to develop skills is fantastic. But that's kind of what I had. I had a focus there, and that was I need to be in and around it, or make a debut by 18. Listen, whether that was the driving force for me, I don't know, but it gave me a bit of a kick up the backside to push on and kind of work hard.
Because what age were you when you made your debut?
18. So I made my debut when I was 18. Yeah.
So just on that side of it, I think that shows the power of the mind and your determination as well. I'm just finishing my A license at the minute, and there's lots of things that get thrown at you, and there's some top people have come across up in Scotland, like Sir Don McNaughton, who's a top mindset coach, and people like that. And people, I think now, and certainly we're in the industry, with the mental health side coming a lot more to the forefront. I think that's helping a lot of people, but I think the mindset thing, it's a huge thing. And I'm looking at your story there. There's no one in your path at that point. You want to be in that position where you're walking out at Ellen Road at the age of 18 and representing your football club, and you did that, and all credit to you, and that's hard work. But like I said, I think moving kind of a little bit further on, you've made your debut. What was that feeling like, walking out at Ellen Road for the first time?
You can't actually. Do you know what? You look back and you kind of getting immersed in the moment, but it kind of takes over, and there's not many clear memories in my mind of it. It's just kind of excitement and kind of getting announced that you're in the squad. I think there were 3 subs back in the day when I made my debut. So there were 3 subs.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
Kids are like, 3.
Yeah, 3 subs. What is it now? 7 subs these days. So 3 subs. It was 3 subs. So as I was just made up to be in the squad, and no, I think it's a great thing as youth, because you don't get nervous. I think the older you get, the more nervous you get.
So you once said that to me. Tim Flowers, goalkeeper, he came on loan to Stockport, and he said, enjoy it while it lasts, because when you're young, you don't have any fear.
Yeah, no fear.
You don't hear the crowd. Yeah. You don't hear any. And then as you get older, and whether it's, I don't know whether it is a mindset thing. You start hearing that little murmur if you give the ball away, or you know, something like that. So it's as you get older, you do start to feel the pressures a bit more than when you're a child.
Mm-hmm. But listen, no, it was great. It was fantastic to make your debut for your hometown club. And then, you know, to go on then and I didn't make many appearances, but I think it was something like 23 or something like that, including sub appearances.
Yeah,
I'm immensely proud of that. I don't
definitely
confess to be one of the most talented players out there. I think a lot of my attributes were kind of you know, dedication, hard work, you know, willing to grind and willing to kind of, you know, just work harder than other people. I never kind of, I've seen a lot more players at Leeds with me at the time who had more ability than me. 100%. I said it to a player not long back who I played with and I'm still in touch with. I said, you were a better player than me. And you know, George Graham came in and played me midfield, wasn't really a midfielder. I didn't do myself kind of any favours there. It wasn't my position. But there were better midfielders than me within the squad in my age as well. And I think to myself, why? And probably because of my discipline at that particular time the team needed, work rate, attitude, things like that. So you know, that gave me a chance in the game. So you know, I'm grateful for that, and you know, those kind of attributes, and it's kind of my makeup now. That hard work, that kind of strong mentality is. I've taken that into coaching as well. So that's
just also, so you know, like you said, you had a fantastic start to your career at Leeds. Things happen in your career, but you move on. In I think you had a couple of loan appearances, but then you end up at Scunthorpe and absolute stalwart legend at Scunthorpe. Great, you know, time there. I think you won was it a couple of promotions?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't. So you know, the teammates I played with, I left just before they went up. We got beat a couple of times and what have you. But you know, it's someone said that mentioned in the past and called me kind of a Scunthorpe legend, you know, and
I always remember you for Scunny. I didn't go near you.
Well, it's because I had this haircut back then. I've had this. I'm back on the lockdown haircut. That makes, it makes me look a little bit more angry than I sometimes am. But no, I'd say that I was a bit of a fierce competitor on the pitch, and I've got no shame in saying that. You know, I was aggressive. I needed to be. I felt that was in my game. But certainly the time at Scunthorpe was fantastic. It was a chance for me to go across. I moved my family across with me as well, and we moved over there. And it was just kind of a small town where it was really close knit, and you know, I had a real connection with the fans over there, which was good for me. Because it was a big disappointment leaving Leeds, but I had to. I just because.
How do you that happens, and how do you overcome that? At the time, you probably didn't realise you were overcoming it, but how you look back now and you think, well, what did you do? So again, this goes back to the setbacks thing. So if kids have got the notepads, or parents and even coaches now, you have setbacks in life. How did you, whether it's a setback or not, how do you get through that? Did you have to get through it? You know, everyone's different.
Yeah. Well, it was like leaving Leeds. It was kind of, you know, I'd had a taste of first team football, which was fantastic, and it just makes you hungry for more. And I wanted to just go and play, you know, and the opportunity to go to Scunthorpe come about, and so I kind of, although I was leaving Leeds United, which were my hometown club, you know, I'd been there for years, so it was a big wrench. To leave, of course, but I was in a mindset where I just wanted to play. So at the time, I didn't see it as a setback. I just kind of as part of my journey, what I have to do to go and play. So you know, I was just determined to go and kind of enjoy my time and get back on the football pitch, because there's nothing better than actually playing in front of a crowd. You know, for a first team. You know, and me having to drop down. Do that, I had to do it. So that was a decision made, and you know, I think it was 4.5 years at Scunthorpe, which was a fantastic time for me. Really enjoyed it. Great people, made some good friends, and you know, and hopefully, I'd like to think I stuck in a few fans' memories as someone who was probably competitive and was kind of wholehearted for the club.
Yeah.
Likewise, when I was at Leeds, I always tried to give 100% when I was on the pitch.
Yeah.
Never the most skillful player. I'm the first to admit that. But I just tried to give my all, and I managed to go on there and stay a good few years at Scunthorpe, and then have a few more clubs where I managed to have a career. And people always ask me, do I look back in my career and regret anything? I go, listen, I had a fantastic career, professional game, 15 years, and then went into non-league as well. So listen, I'm playing football and earning a living, and there's nothing better at whatever level you're doing it at. There's nothing better than that for me, and that's where I am on my journey now as a coach. Feeling very privileged to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, couple of questions coming, but I'll just do an exclusive on one of the next guests in the coming weeks. But he's actually asked you a question here.
Has he? Right.
So Ian Hart, Leeds legend. So he'll be on with us in a couple of weeks' time. Hart is asked, please ask Jacko what he thinks of under-23s football, and does he think young players need to go out on loan to lower league to experience men's football, which I think is a great question, really. Yeah.
Well, it's changed now, hasn't it? I mean, back when I played with Ian back at Leeds, and he was coming through as well. We played. It was called a reserve team. It was called
Pontins League.
Yeah, the Pontins League, and we were lucky enough to win that as well. Whilst I was at Leeds, so it was really, really competitive, and you were playing with kind of seasoned professionals every week, whether that be players coming back from injury or players needing game time. In this day and age, can some 23s be a little bit watered down? Yes. I think I'm in a good position at a football club now where the players who play up in the 23s, certainly from my group of 18s, do get the chance to experience playing with the first team players, because the manager sees benefit in playing players for game time, match practice in the 23s. So, for players who play for my 18s team to get promoted into the 23s and then be kind of rubbing shoulders with the first team is a positive thing. Can it be watered down sometimes? Yes, I think it can. Did we get? Was it closer back in the day when we were there to first team football? I think it was more closer back in the day. But the kind of positive, like I said, the positive for me at the minute where I work at Leeds is that actually, if players do progress into our 23s, they're actually rubbing shoulders with the first team players. So what they might not be getting from a competitive edge and things like that, they're getting by actually learning whilst on the same pitch as, for instance, there's an array of players who play for our 23s who play in the first team. So they're rubbing shoulders with them, experiencing looking at on the pitch.
Bielsa's massive on game time as well. If you don't play in the first team, you need to pick your game time up during the week, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
that's a massive positive for us as youth development and youth developers at the club at the minute, because you can't, you can talk about it, you can say, listen, it's like this when you play with this player, but for those players to actually, get there and actually rub shoulders with the likes of, Stuart Dallas has played in there, Liam Cooper's played in there. They've all at some point, I think, had a game in the 23s. So it's a good learning curve in the environment I'm in at the minute.
I mean, there's a question just above this one from Jimmy Gibson, I think it is. Do you think there's too much pressure on young players to perform within a senior setting instantly rather than allowing them to develop? What are your thoughts on that? It's similar to
what kind of age he's talking about, and like we said, what age that is. I think the younger you are, like we said before in the conversation, it's about fostering that love for the game and taking the pressure off as much as you can and really talk about a young player's development when you're talking about foundation phase and early youth development. As they obviously move up the ladder and they start to get to the back end of youth development and certainly into the professional development stage, there's still massive emphasis on development. Of course there is, but we've got to start to prepare them pressure-wise for dealing with for dealing with media, for dealing with crowds, because at the end of the day, they could be kind of one step away from stepping out onto the pitch at Ellen Road and obviously being thrust in front of a camera. Now, listen, at that top end of it in PDP and in under 18s football and above, you know, there's an array of support for young players now.
Yeah.
Support than I've ever seen in my time in a football club. And how they can tap into that player care, you know, kind of safeguarding, media training, people to guide you, people to speak to. So that mechanism is fantastic. But you know, certainly at a young age, you know, the pressure's got to be calculated. And like I said, I mean, young players put pressure on themselves anyway.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of stripping that back. Then you're 16. You've got Paul Hart, who's you know, quite harsh. As a, you know, probably a coach at that time, probably similar to the coaches I had at that time. You know, I think I spoke to Harty before regarding leading with love nowadays rather than leading with fear, which used to be the norm back then. I think what I'm trying to get at now is, you know, you mentioned before you had a mindset of being in the first team at 18. Those players now, if they're not in, do they want to be in the first team? That's sometimes what I question. Certainly at the top clubs, you know, they're on thousands a week, and they're not, you know, they're not willing to go out and get experience on loan, go and get kicked and punched and spat and get a yellow card and experience getting a red card, or you know, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, is it something that you feel Leeds are doing well, getting players out on loan, or do you think they could do something a bit more with it, or are they doing enough?
Well, I think we've certainly got players out on loan at the minute who are benefiting from things and things like that. But like you talk about young players there, I think what we've got our club, and I had a conversation with, you know, I'm taking this time whilst we're on kind of lockdown to speak to a lot of people, and I spoke to you know, an under-18 coach from a southern club who we played against each other. Our teams have played against each other, but we're having this conversation as well. And he was asking about our programme and things like that. And I said, listen, there's no, we're in a position now where our under-18s, not just in the 23s, are actually on a daily basis can be rubbing shoulders with the first team players within sessions.
Yeah.
Training with the first team and having exposure. So, you know, if you're at a club where, as a young under-18 player or 23, you never ever saw the first team, because I'm sure there's clubs out there where, you know, those players never ever see the first team or never part of things, then that can be a hindrance, and they need to go and get that experience somewhere, because they might be in the comfort zone. But certainly where we are at the minute, I mean, we're very privileged to have an environment where our players are getting challenged, because they're training with the first team on a regular basis. And those 18 players who are not quite ready there are moving up and training with the 23s. And likewise, we have under 16s playing in the 18s. So you know, there's that for those who are striving. There's that element of challenge for them. And that's what maybe Ian was talking about before, about the challenge of players could alone benefit them. For sure, there might be some players out there that will benefit, but you know, that's up to the coaches to recognise and go, well, listen, he's getting what he needs, and it's the eye of the coach to recognise that this player is actually getting what he needs here, you know, and it's a skill to recognise, well, listen, he might need something else. Now we say at the time that someone might need pushing up, they might need another challenge, and they might need doing that, and we have those conversations as coaches all the time, all the way through. I
mean, just kind of bringing that back then, obviously the Pontins Reserve League, there's a question here from Michael Byrne. Do you feel reserve team football should be reintroduced like it used to be? Is that something that you think in terms of, because, you know, could that help the system a bit more in terms of keeping them more competitive? Because certainly, and this is just my opinion, I've watched quite a lot of youth football, and sometimes I look at it, I'm thinking, well, and it's not just Leeds, it's other clubs. But for example, a team that plays in League One and you go and watch their academy and they're trying to play it out from the back, there's no philosophy from the youth to the first team there, because the first team are going long on a Saturday or a Tuesday, whenever it is. So how hard is it to make that impact if you haven't got a, certainly at Leeds at the minute, I'd imagine it's right the way through. You have this philosophy, the way you're playing systems. How hard is that if you're a coach to not be able to deal with that?
Well, it's hard. And going back to the question there, do I think going back to the reserve league can help? And listen, the players were afforded more time. I talk about that 18 kind of focus out in my mind. But the players are afforded more time now for lots of reasons. Teams carry bigger squads. They can have 7 on the bench. The squads are bigger these days. So more players are there, and the introduction of the 23s, and with the stipulation where you can play so many overage players is we're using it fairly well, because everybody's getting what they need at that particular time. What you've got to be careful of maybe is if it stifles somebody underneath. But again, that's a skill of the coaches to recognise that, and then maybe that. We've got players out on loan at the minute, and that might be the opportunity to say, well, this player might need to go out to get that football. And that's a skill of the coaches within the club. Like I said, do we have to go backwards and revert to that? I don't think we do, because I think if it's done right, and it's managed right, it can be successful, and you can get what you need from it. And I think we're fortunate. Like I said, I always revert back to us, because I always defend the club I'm at. It's paying dividends for us at the minute, because you see how many young players are coming through, and how many players the managers give the debuts to this season, and that's really satisfying for me as a coach, along with the colleagues. And I mean, not just for me at 18s, but some of the players have been at the club since they were 8-9 years old. So it's not just my influence or the 23s influence. It's 16s, 15s, and some players all the way back to the under 8s, in the foundation phase. And those coaches need to take a lot of pride in that. And it just goes,
pathway.
Everybody plays their part on a player's pathway to get there. And we're very fortunate we've got managers who will, play the youngsters and blood the youngsters, and that's great to see that they're coming in and doing it. Jack Clark's gone for 10 million to Spurs. I had the opportunity to work with Jack for 3 years at under 15s, 16s, and 17s and 18s. Fantastic that he's gone on as. Would I liked him to stay at Leeds and be doing that for Leeds? Yeah, of course I will. But I'll always have a bias there, because I'm a Leeds lad and a Leeds fan. But
just to stop you there, so we can kind of go into the next part there. You've started on your coaching journey.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a player that you've worked with for a long time, just gone for 10 million. How does that feel?
Yeah, well, it's satisfying. Like I said, it's disappointing, because I want him to play for Leeds. And that's just me being selfish. But listen, it was a great lad. He was challenging in different ways, and what have you. But listen, I had a great coach relationship with him, and and what a fantastic talent. You talk about someone with talent. He had fantastic talent. And before he went, he made great impact for the first team when he come on. So I mean, to see someone progress, and I'll be keeping an eye on his career. Where he is. I think he's on loan at QPR at the minute. But I just hope that he, I'll be following that with a keen eye, and I just hope that he continues to progress and continues to be challenged and to push on. To push on to get where I believe his talent can take him. So immensely proud, along with all the other players. Your Jamie Shackletons, your Robbie Gotts, Ollie Cases, Ryan Edmondsons, all them kind of players who have come through this season and made that step up. Listen, they're not established by no means, but they've managed to put the foot in the door, and they aren't being kicked back out, so they're staying in there. They're hanging on, and that as a young player in this day and age with a massive squads and stuff like that, demands of the game, then they've got to stay in and around it to try and progress and establish yourself. And there's some good, great young players at the club at the minute who are fighting tooth and nail to do that.
So if people are just joining us, or you've been here a while, we've gone now through the start of your career. You know, young boy at Leeds United, made your first team debut at Leeds United, highlights, setbacks, everything. You know, and then we've got through to now your coaching aspects of it. How did you kind of make that transition from a player to coaching? And is there any advice that you can give to, you know, young coaches out there or people that want to get into coaching on how to do it?
Well, listen. For me, I didn't really have any interest in coaching, and when I was coming, I felt I was coming towards the end of my playing career. You talk about setbacks and stuff like that. Injuries were big setbacks for me. Yeah. Big setbacks. But that's kind of another story. But I kind of started planning for the future, and I kind of went down the kind of fitness trainer route at one point.
Right.
And then it was
when I do a dip 15 years earlier.
I know I couldn't do a dip, mate. That's probably why, because I was decent now. So I went into that for some reason. But I just kind of, as I got older, and I think I was down at Kidderminster at the time, and I was living away from home, and I just did a little bit of work in the football in the community there, just to keep myself busy, you know, on a night, because I was away from my family. And I started to do a little bit of work, and I thought, you know what, I enjoy this. I was only going into schools, coaching. Yeah. I enjoy it. And it just kind of got me going a little bit. And I went through my badges, level 2, and then on to UEFA B. And it kind of like my career, really. It kind of just went from there. But I'd certainly say my coaching path has probably been different to not a lot of people, but a lot of kind of ex-pros who get into coaching. I think, you know, a lot of ex-pros can actually finish playing at a club and maybe fall down into the reserves or 23 and kind of start the coaching there and be in that environment, where I actually come out of it. You know, I come out of the full-time game and went into the non-league game and worked my way up from there. I mean, one bit of advice when I look back on it, and during this time of lockdown, it's given me a lot of time for kind of self-reflection and kind of where I want to go on my journey, you know, now, because you're always learning, and where my path as a coach and what I want to do. It's given me a lot of time reflecting, but I think back and I look back, and the variety of age groups and children and abilities I've coached at is kind of, when I put it down on paper, it's phenomenal, really. And I think that's a big thing. What I'd say to coaches is, don't be afraid, or don't kind of set your sights too high to be somewhere straight away. You know, you've got to kind of, it's not earn your stripes. Well, I didn't want to kind of say that, but it's kind of, get the experience, because listen, I've done after school clubs, I've done summer soccer camps.
There you go.
I've been in schools. I've done non-leagues men's. I've done college football. I've done academy under 13s and 14s part time. I've done an array of things, and I think that's all kind of helped me, and it's still helping me now, because I'm drawing on a lot of experiences from there. So that variety of experience as a coach has been invaluable to me. And that's what I kind of advise to other coaches when they're starting out. Listen, just go and coach as many different players as possible, ages, you know, boys, girls, things like that. Abilities, you know, it's really, really helpful, and that's helped me a lot.
I think one of the biggest things for me is obviously with Forza Academy now, we have some top coaches working with us, but you know, certainly some of these coaches that are coming through, they actually think, first thought is, well, how much am I going to get paid? And what they actually don't realise is that in coaching, there's not a lot of money.
No.
There's a lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get paid for that time and effort. And I think certainly from, and a bit of background story for everyone watching here, I would do my UEFA B, and Jacko really helped me through that process, come and deliver a couple of sessions at his academy team over in Wheatwood, I think it was at the time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, your experience for me there was invaluable. And, you know, now I'm on my A licence, about to complete that. And you pick people, you know, that side of it for me is huge. What you give back to others. And you've always been someone, certainly for me, can pick the phone up and, you know, kind of pull your ear about this. And I think you need a mentor as well sometimes. You need someone that you can pick a phone up and discuss things with. But certainly for these younger coaches coming through, or just coaches in general, if you want to be in the game for the money side of it, it's the wrong game for you, because there's a lot of time and effort. And I'm going to go full circle back to where you first started, when you were on the streets in Beeston. It was your love for the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why you are where you are now, because of your love of the game.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, you talk about young coach, you want to come in and get straight to that top level. I mean, it's difficult, and like I said, it's if you're going in for the money, then you're going into the wrong game, really.
Yeah.
But you know, it's fostering that love for the game, and certainly, like you said about picking a phone up, picking, you know, advice to coaches is be curious, ask questions. I'm taking a lot of time during this, and I was like I said, I've only contacted someone from an opposition team. I didn't know the bloke. We contacted each other over Twitter.
Yeah.
And I knew him because I played against him this year in his team, but you never really get to know somebody. And you know, I kind of just messaged him this morning. I said, "Listen, do you fancy a catch up over Zoom?" And he says, "Yes." And listen, I come downstairs and my missus said, "Jesus," she went, "How long you been up there?" I'd literally 2.5 hours we've been on a Zoom call, and just sharing ideas, you know. So that's a great bit of advice to ask for young coaches is, listen, ask if you're unsure, get a mentor, get someone who you can speak to and pick the phone up. You know, I'm still doing that now, and I need to do that as part of my development. I need to ask questions. I need to learn. I need to get better. You know, so you know, be prepared to learn, be prepared to ask questions, but listen, be prepared to get your hands dirty and go and coach with as many abilities, ages as possible to get your experience.
I'm going to throw a question at you because I have my own answer to this one. But do you think, as a coach, do you think a coach should be able to work with any ability?
Yes, I think they should. I think they should. I think coaches have a preference. I'll have my preference, but I think I could go and work with any ability of player. I'd be confident in saying that. I'd have my preference who I'd like to work with.
Which everyone would, yeah.
Yeah, so everybody has a preference, but I'd be fairly confident with the kind of skills I've built up over the years I've been coaching and the variety. Now, if I hadn't had that variety, maybe I won't be asking. Maybe I won't be answering that question, or maybe I would be still answering the question.
Yeah.
I'd go in there and find it really difficult. But I think I'd be able to go and relate to the skill level where I think the players are at, to the age of the players where they're at. Because you know, also, someone asked me a while back, what is coaching to you? And I said a big part of it is connection, how you connect with the players.
Yeah.
How you connect with the players. Simple.
I think that's a great point you make there. And like I said, going back, I don't know if you've listened to anything from Steve Salis or read his book, but he's all about empathy and understanding the individual, rather than, well, if you understand the individual first, you'll get a better outcome for the team as well. And that's a great point I think he makes. But there's been a question here from Paisley Boys. Do you think coaching badges should be pass and fail rather than just turn up and attend? So well, he is from Scotland, but I'm just assuming that's, do you think that's the case? I'm not too sure it is, but what are your thoughts?
What do you say that again? Sorry.
He said, do you think coaching badges should be pass and fail rather than turn up and attend?
Well, yeah, I don't think. I think the higher you go up, certainly my experience when I did my A license, it was pass or fail. The pressure that night was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was pass or fail, and but I think what they're doing now is kind of ongoing assessment, in it. As regards to the A license. So you're talking a lot about competencies and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the way it is now, it will help develop the coaches better.
Yeah.
If it's pass or fail, it can be, it's just someone's opinion on the night. I think.
Yeah.
But surely, if it's built up over a period of time, and you get a better assessment of where the coach is, and I think what that helps foster in the coaches is not a rush for it as well. It's it's listen, I might not be there yet, and that understanding that it's a process of developing and getting yourself better coaches. So I'd probably say that the way they've got it now is probably right. Rather than that just pass and fail, because it helps foster that development mentality from a coach when they're just starting out as well.
Yeah, great answer. Next question I have, which I know a lot of people, what's it like working under Bielsa? What's his kind of, if you can talk about it, but has it changed your way of thinking as a coach? Is it similar, or because he's regarded as, I mean, you're talking about the super coaches right now. You've got Guardiola, you've got Klopp, and there's people talking about Bielsa in the Championship. Yeah. So how's that? What's that experience like?
Well, listen, it's one insight there is kind of, I don't really work closely with the manager or anything like that, but what we are very, very privileged to have is kind of, we're next to them when they're training, so we've got every opportunity, and we have daily opportunity to observe what's going on in close quarters, which I'm quite right in thinking that a lot of coaches would kind of be delighted with that, and we kind of as a group of coaches we kind of utilize that as best we can whilst doing our job. But listen, just watching the manager work and speaking to his staff as well. He's got a lot of staff who work with him. Speaking to his staff, maybe not on like kind of a formal front, but kind of an informal front, and seeing things. If you've got good observation skills, I think you can take a hell of a lot from what the manager does. So certainly in his time at Leeds, we've taken a lot from what he's kind of inputted into the first team. Because I want to develop myself, but also we want to develop players who can progress to his team. So we need to know how they play and how they work, and the expectations. Those expectations get filtered down.
I think what they want to know is, do you go and get a Costa with him?
No, I've not been invited for a Costa with him.
Yeah,
I think that's probably his private time where he gets to chill out and gather his thoughts. But listen, it's a privilege for us as coaches to be able to observe someone of his caliber. The frustrating thing about it now is that we're at home and we're on lockdown, and we've lost the football, so we can't do that. But what he's brought to the club has been very, very beneficial to the club, obviously, but also to the coaches who work in the academy who've been able to observe his work.
Yeah, brilliant. Listen, mate, we're going to have to wrap this up in a minute and a half time, but I'd like to thank you for your time, and hopefully it's been a great insight for everyone, into what you've brought and your time in not just professional football, but your journey you're on as a coach at the minute. 3 words for kids working their way towards professional football.
3 words. Wow, you've put me right on the spot there. You put me right on the spot.
Yeah.
3 words. Don't give up.
Like it. Also, we've got Ian Hart on, so this is an exclusive for everyone. Leeds United legend in a couple of weeks. So you've got to come back on and ask him an awkward question like he did.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, but he's like I said, he's a good lad. I've known him for many years. Still in touch with him now as well. So listen, that'll be a great insight for the coaches and parents and players to listen to. So now he was a Leeds United legend. He was fantastic for the club. So that'll be a great insight for to listen out, and I'll definitely be a listener on that night.
Yeah. Listen, Jacko, top man. Everyone, thank you for watching and listening, for your questions. Little Heart, let us know you've enjoyed it. I think Jacko's been fantastic. And obviously we're back on Friday. We've got Big Adam Collin, the current goalkeeper at Carlisle United and captain. So it'll be another good night on Friday. Get yourself on. But Jacko, top man, mate.
Listen,
speak to you soon.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. And if anybody can take